Hi there, and welcome to another episode of my album reviews. My name is Christian Eschbach, and today we are looking at one of my all-time favorite albums. This album is just brilliant on so many levels, and part of the reason I believe that is because of the amount of collaboration on this album. But not just that, it features hands down one of the greatest hard rock / heavy metal guitarist of all time, and it is his solo album, Iommi. That's right. The one, the only, Tony Iommi solo album, where it is him, his music writing, and everything that comes with it. Now, when you go through the album and you read the liner notes in this album is full of a who's who of vocalists, which I will cover in great detail as we go. But there's also a nice assortment of musicians throughout here that are known musicians. One of the standouts is actually a good friend of Tony Iommi's, Brian May, who appears on one or two songs, I believe. But the album itself is written by Tony Iommi, Bob Marlette, who I know for producing a lot of great albums around this time period. This album came out in 2000, same year that Alice Cooper's Brutal Planet came out, and it was produced by the same person as well. And he also usually ends up with writing credit on almost every single song. And on this album, same thing. It's Tony Iommi and Bob Marlette on every song, and then whoever the vocalist on that song is also a contributing musician to the song. So, let's get into this album. This album is brilliant because it features a who's who of goth, metal, hard rock, you name it, vocalists from the 90s. Some prior to the 90s, but mainly focusing on musicians from the 90s. And I mean, this is really a who's who, like, of that time period. You could not ask for a better assortment. The first song, the one that opens it up, is Laughing Man and the Devil Mask. The vocalist is Henry Rollins. I don't own a lot from Henry Rollins. I will say that I was not a Black Flag fan. I've only heard a little bit here and there. I would have to re-listen. They were not one of the punk bands that were really big out there to me. However, the odd track I have heard here and there, I've enjoyed. However, his spoken word is fantastic. I've heard ample amounts of his spoken word, and I very much enjoy it. But anyways, Laughing Man and the Devil Mask kicks off this album perfectly. And Henry Rollins' vocals are well suited. Iommi, I believe, handpicked every vocalist he wanted for each individual song. I think that's how that worked, if I remember correctly what I read years ago. But either way, whether he handpicked them or whether they were suggested or whether they collaborated to put the song together, it doesn't matter. It works. It is fantastic. This was a great assortment. I'm sure Henry Rollins must have been thrilled with himself getting to work with, Iommi. It was just a great way to start the album. From there, we go into the song Meat, which is featuring Skin. I don't know much about Skin at all. I really don't. All I know is Skin has an amazing voice. Whoa. This song just fires on all cylinders and is just miraculous. Like, the vocal delivery is just soaringly amazing. Vocal delivery, amazing, and the music, obviously, it's fantastic. From there, we go to Goodbye Lament featuring Dave Grohl. Once again, great song. Not a song like, when you think about Dave Grohl, you always think of how he sounds in the Foo Fighters. This doesn't sound like Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters singing on a song. It's not like you're going, oh, great, Dave Grohl with doing a Black Sabbath. Like, no. You can't think of Foo Fighters meets Black Sabbath. It doesn't work. You can't think anything like that. Dave Grohl delivers vocals in a completely different way here. His delivery method here is much more intense, much more punk and metally like. It's very, very good, very impressive. I absolutely love the way that, you know, Dave gets into the vocals on this song. From there we go into Time Is Mine featuring Philip Anselmo, as in Phil from Pantera. Great tune. Once again, okay, musically, every song on this album is brilliant. Okay, let's just go with that. Okay, we'll just say that I love the music on every song on this album. I think all the music is fantastic. It's kind of a smidge dated. It sounds very much like a Bob Marlette produced album in the in the turn of the century, turn of the millennium. But it's not. It still holds up. Like, you can hear that it's an album from that time, and an album from that time is a fantastic album. Dragontown and or Brutal Planet, sorry, specifically, still from Alice Cooper, still holds up brilliantly. Like, these were great albums that were designed and produced and released. Well done. Time Is Mine is, though, all that being said, I like Phil's voice, and I think he is both overrated in some cases, underrated in others. I could do without the pterodactyl, but when you listen to his vocals on songs like Cemetery Gates, whew, pretty, very well done. Time Is Mine, great song. For me, it's kind of one of those background songs. I let it play in the background most of the time. I don't pay attention to it as much. Patterns featuring Serge Tankian. System of a Down. Mixed feelings. Now, I have mixed feelings because when it comes to System of a Down, I hate the screaming parts of their songs. I love the beautiful melodic singing parts of their songs. I hate the screaming parts. I absolutely loathe them. It's the reason I have a hard time getting into System of a Down. So when I found out that Serge was doing a song on here, I kind of cringed a bit. But beautiful vocals. Beautiful vocals. I absolutely love what he does. There we go into Black Oblivion. Billy Corgan's Smashing Pumpkins fame. You know this song's dark, dreary, and it's pretty much Smashing Pumpkins meets Tony Iommi. It is. But that being said, it's good because it's Tony Iommi. I should also point out that any songs where there's a musician that plays an instrument, most of the time they also do tend to play an instrument on the song as well. Dave Grohl, I think, did play drums on his song, and I think Billy Corgan played guitar or bass on his song. I can't remember which. I'd have to check the liner notes. I'm not doing that right now. So, there are contributing musician parts in there too, but Black Oblivion's really, really digging cool tune, man. The Iommi parts of that song really help save it. Like the Corgan parts are definitely Corgan parts, but when the Iommi parts kick in, it gets good. It goes from, all right, this is solid Corgan to, ooh, this is something sharp and nice. That's followed up by Flame On, featuring Ian Astbury. Ian Astbury has got to be a giant, monstrously underrated vocalist. And I think the reason why he is so underrated is because of how much he sounds like Jim Morrison. But he's better than Morrison vocally. Okay, people, don't go nuts. Morrison is fantastic. I like Morrison. I like Morrison's delivery. But Ian Astbury is Morrison's voice with practice, effort, and range. That's how I will describe Ian Astbury's voice. And I love Flame On. I love how he gets into this song. I love what he does. Him and Iommi gel well. The chemistry between the two of them on this song, I absolutely love it. It was just little bit of lost music because you know that song's not getting played like it should be. Realistically, a lot of these songs should get played on the radio. They don't. Following that up is Just Say No to Love featuring Peter Steele. Okay. Peter Steele is one of those musicians who I think the world lost out because they died too early. He wasn't the 27 and out club, but he still died too early. Type O Negative had really gotten to a point where they were getting the type of mainstream acceptance that was needed for them to sell the albums that were needed. But they always had such great tongue-in-cheek humor on top of being horribly depressed. And Just Say No to Love is so classic Peter Steele and all of his old school style songs of, you know, how much he despises love because the way it rips his heart out. Because Peter Steele, at the end of the day, I think the biggest problem is he just loved way too hard and way too deep. That man was a big man. It's like 6'6". And I think he had an equally big heart. And, you know, if you listen to his music, he was often taken advantage of. And, you know, this is just a great song of Black Sabbath music with Peter Steele singing. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I wish there was more of it. So much more. Somewhere out there, there's got to be songs that Peter Steele's recorded and they haven't been released yet. They've got to get released. Please, they've got to get released. All right, now, what would be an Iommi album if you didn't put Ozzy on it? Right? Okay, so you get Who's Fooling Who. It is a good song. But the thing is if you picked up the Sabbath Reunion album and you heard the two new songs that were on that album, which would have been Psycho Man and Selling Our Souls, I think, or something like that. Anyways, they sound exactly like Who's Fooling Who. It's almost the cookie cutter Black Sabbath format, which is only a small part of my problem with the 13 album. But Who's Fooling Who is still, like, if you want to hear a good tune, if you're missing out on some Sabbath music and you want to hear some Sabbath-like music, pick up this song and it'll be something different, but something still Sabbath. And the album finishes off with Billy Idol, Into the Night. Oh my God, what an awesome way to finish this album. I think this might even be my favorite song on this album. Billy Idol sings with such a sneer. Like that sneering smile he always gives, that out of the corner of his mouth look that he's always got going on when he's singing. You can hear it all over this song. And no one does it like he does. He just, you know, and I know he takes it from like Elvis and stuff like that, but no one does it like Billy Idol does. And on this song, oh, does he give it. And I was so happy to hear that Billy Idol was going to be on this because, you know, there's really not enough Billy Idol stuff out there because unfortunately, you pick up a Billy Idol album and they all kind of sound the same after a while, you know, but to hear this was something new. This is something fresh. And it was fantastic. And that's what I could say about a lot of the songs on here. Like Henry Rollins' Laughing Man. It was something fresh from Henry Rollins. And it was Tony Iommi giving new music that he hadn't done before. You know, David Grohl. It was something fresh for David Grohl, but it was great music. Phil Ensemble, I hate to say it, it wasn't anything fresh for Phil because Dimebag Darrell, if you ever listen to Pantera covers of Black Sabbath, you'd understand. It's really not fresh for Phil. Billy Corgan, it wasn't really anything fresh. Ian Astbury, it was though, because it's not like The Cure. You know, when he does his song "Flame On," it's not like The Cure. It's not like anything you heard him do kind of on his own. This was something different. This is something new for Ian Astbury. Peter Steele, this is very Typo Negative like. Yeah, not gonna deny that for a moment. Ozzy, once again, like I said, very Black Sabbath. Billy Idol is not. Yes, you can hear the Billy Idol element to it. It's not Billy Idol like. So this album gives you something new, something fresh, something different. I love it very much. I really wish guitarists could do this more often. The problem is they can release these albums, but they can't tour off of them. And nowadays, with the way the music industry has gone, the money for these artists is in the touring. It isn't in the albums anymore. It's really sad. We need to get back to albums making money again, so albums like this can be released. But that's also part of the other problem. Enough albums like this were not getting released. And, you know, this isn't a bunch of musicians stroking each other off. This is serious music. This is good, solid ass music that you just want to listen to. And I know Iommi released another album after this, and I to this day have still yet to find it. I should look to special order it, but I've yet to find it. And anybody I've ever heard or any reviews I've read have all said the same thing, that part of the thing that kind of lost its beauty on the second album was it was one other collaborating musician the whole way through. And I find this is a lot like Slash's first album, you know. Slash, when he did his first solo album, and I'm not talking about, you know, The Snake Pit. I'm talking about, you know, his first solo album. It was beautiful because he had all these extra influences in there, and it influenced the music, and it changed it, and it had dynamics, and it showed much more range for Slash, whereas when he starts working just with Miles Kennedy, it starts becoming a little more pulled back. You know what I'm saying? I hope you do. Anyways, I know a lot of my reviews lately, I've been saying this is an album you got to get. Well, I've been kind of being lazy about the reviews, and it's been one of the albums that I've listened to, you know, hundreds of times because of how much I love the albums. This is one of those albums. I've listened to it over and over and over again, and it will always be a top 20 in my collection, for sure. Absolutely. But I've rambled. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, I love you all. Peace and take care. Oh, and hit the subscribe button for notifications.